Now that we have support for HTML responses and inertia responses with our app, we can pretty much just get on with implementing the Pokedex functionality. So we're going to need images and a Pokedex JSON file. I've used this repo called Pokemon.json to get the images and the Pokedex.json file. Since I have the images locally, I'm just going to paste them into the public folder in views. And then next, I'm going to create a package for the Pokedex, and we're going to treat it kind of like a fake database of Pokemon. It's going to have a function called createPokemonDb. That's going to return a map of the Pokemon numbers to the actual Pokemon data. I'm going to make it return nil for now until I implement it. Then I'm going to paste in my Pokedex.json file with my information, and I'll commit all of these files so far. We're going to jump back to our PokemonDB file so we can implement the createPokemonDB function. So we're going to start by creating a type to represent the PokemonInfo that is stored in this JSON file. So here I've created a type called PokemonInfo to represent what I can see here. So we have an ID, we have a name, that's a nested struct that can contain English, Japanese, Chinese, or French. We have a type, which is an array of strings. Then we have a base that has health points, attack, defense, special defense, and speed. And then we also have a annotation at the end that specifies how to marshal this object into JSON. So when this is going to be saved onto disk or sent over the network as JSON, this is how it's going to take the field and name it in that JSON. So that's what that syntax is. Next, we're going to actually implement this createPokemonDB function by loading up this JSON file, parsing the JSON into this struct, and then returning it. So here we've updated createPokemonDB to return a map of ints, which is the Pokemon number, to a PokemonInfo struct, which is this information. We load up the JSON file, make sure it closes at the end. We then read all of the contents of the file into a byte array. We use this unmarshal function to read that byte array and read it into this object so that we can actually turn this into data that is in that structure. We then create a PokemonDB map with the return type that we expect. The map has an initial size of the length of the Pokemon data array. So this is the array of all the Pokemon info objects that are in this JSON file. Then we loop over the information that we got in the Pokemon info array, and then we populate the map with it. Finally, we return the map. Now we can do a quick test to make sure that it prints out properly. So I'm going to open up the main file, load up the DB, and then just print it out. So here I'm just pretty printing what comes back from the createPokemonDB function. I'll restart the server and run again. And I can see it is pretty printing it, so that means we've read the data incorrectly. Now I'm going to just load the fake database into a DB variable, and we'll pass that into our roots. Next, we're going to make use of page headers, which are a component provided by Inertia for you to put stuff in the title of your app. So to begin with, we're going to create a new page package in Go, and we're going to define a page header type. So here we defined a new page header type. It has a title, a meta field that has a name, and some content. Next, we're going to insert this header into the index page via its root. Here we've created the header, and now we're going to pass it in as a prop. So now to see this header, we need to actually use it in the page component. So here we receive the header prop, we destructure title and meta from it, and then insert them in this head component provided by Inertia. And what Inertia is going to do is inject this into the correct place in your page, so you can set the title and other things in your head that would normally only be accessible in the HTML that you would send, for example, here in the app HTML page. One last thing we forgot to add is the JSON name for our meta substruct. I'm going to restart the server and give it a test, and we can see we have our title appearing. If I inspect in the head, we can see we get our meta name and meta content showing up.